The Megaman Battle Network Legacy Collection is finally here, and with it comes a new generation who get to experience these games for the first time. I've been a fan of the series for 20 years now, and even named myself after Proto Man EXE. Thinking back, it's crazy to see how impactful these games have been on me, and I look forward to new players getting to enjoy these games. I remember the days of being a novice Battle Network player, dying in simple virus battles, and always struggling against the final bosses. So to help newcomers to the Battle Network series, I've decided to make this video sharing my tips and tricks to help you become a Battle Network expert. That being said, keep in mind that this video is catered to novice Battle Network players, but veterans of the series, please feel free to add some more tips in the comments below. And if you find these tips to be helpful, please give the video a like and consider subscribing to my channel. I'm still new to content creation, but I plan on more Battle Network projects in the future. And with that, let's get started with general Battle Network tips. Although games in the Battle Network series can vary drastically, some of the beginner tips can really apply to any of the games. For starters, make sure not to run away from virus battles. Getting rewards like Zennies or battle chips is always valuable, and the new Buster Max mode should make it busting viruses much faster. This in turn will make it way faster to grind for chips and Zennies, so I highly recommend using Buster Max. I honestly plan on using it in the early game of every game, since the chip folder is generally weak early on. Another important tip for each game is to make sure you hop on the net as often as you can and explore each area. Each time you check in, green mystery datas, or GMDs, will spawn throughout each area in preset locations. These GMDs can give you Zennies, battle chips, or even bug frags in later games, making them valuable to collect. I highly recommend taking some time to just run around the net to fight viruses and collect all the GMDs. Once you've collected them all, they'll respawn as soon as you check out and back in, so feel free to grind GMDs to your heart's content. The most important thing to know about Battle Network games is that net battles rely completely on your chip folder. Having a good, strong chip folder can really help carry you through these games. If you have bad folders like I always did as a kid, then you're gonna have a rough time in these games. The biggest mistake newcomers might make is stuffing battle chips with the biggest damage numbers into their folders. This is the same mistake I made when I first played Battle Network, and it made some fights in the game much harder than they needed to be. The best advice I can give for building chip folders is to focus on fluidity rather than big damage numbers. Try to limit your folder to 1 or 2 chip codes at a time. This makes it way easier to get through your folder and lets you use as many chips per turn as possible. Believe me, this makes the games way easier. Take for example one of my favorite folders. In Battle Network 5, one of my favorite folders to use is a V-code folder that revolves around my 2 favorite double souls. More on those later. This folder uses strong elect type chips such as Electrial and Volts to do big damage, and uses sword chips like Y-Blade and Moonblade as backup. All of these chips are in the V code, which lets me get through as many chips as possible in one turn. Now for some game specific tips. Battle Network 1 is personally my least favorite game in the series, mostly because it lacks the polish that later games have. I hate that you can't run from virus battles, and the net looks way too bland in my opinion. I didn't even include footage of Battle Network 1 in this video because I didn't want to get lost on the net. Again. But don't take this to mean that you shouldn't play this game. It's still a lot of fun and worth experiencing. My best advice for this game is, don't feel bad about having maps of the net areas open as you play this game. Unlike in later games, every net area looks exactly the same, and there's no distinction between main roads and side roads. Other than that, make sure that you find and use power-ups as soon as possible, and pack your folder with Navi chips. They're strong, and you can use numerous copies of the same chip in this game. Speaking of Navi chips, my Battle Network 2 advice actually starts the same way. Navi chips are just as strong in this game, and you can use up to 5 of the same chip. Just look at how ridiculous the base V3 chip is once you unlock it in the post game. Another great thing about Battle Network 2 is that this game introduced the style change system. The system changes Megaman's style to match your playstyle. For example, if you use the Buster a lot, you'd get the Gut style, which gives you a machine gun buster ability and double the damage you do with uncharged shots. If you use a lot of battle chips like I do, you unlock the Custom style, which grants you an extra chip in your custom window each turn. These styles also come with the Fire, Aqua, Elect, or Wood elements, which can make them helpful for fighting specific navies. Battle Network 3 is widely considered to be the best game in the series, and that's a statement I agree with. This game is packed to the brim with content, from a wide variety of viruses to a solid roster of navies to fight. The number one tip I have for Battle Network 3 is to learn how to grind for bug frags immediately. Bug frags are super important in this game, and as such, collecting them is actually really easy. If you delete an enemy when they're at a specific point in their attack animation, you get a counter hit, which will reward you with bug frags after the fight. This applies to both viruses and navies. I highly recommend practicing counter hits against the Mentors and AC/DC area, as they have a wide window for a counter while they're swinging their pickaxes. These bug frags can be used to trade for chips and programs at shops, and you'll need a whopping 300 of them in order to unlock. Oh wait, that's a potential spoiler. This game also introduces the Navi Customizer, a Tetris-like program replacing the power-up system of Battle Network 1 and 2 that lets you customize Megaman and make him stronger with specific programs. The Customizer returns for the remainder of the series, so make sure you get used to using it in this game. But be cautious of how style changes affect the Customizer, as some program colors can only be used if you have specific styles equipped. You can get past these color issues using the mod tools, an item you can obtain about halfway through the game. Speaking of styles, this game will require you to change your styles a bit if you want to complete the post-game. This game introduces the new V4 Navi chips. These can only be unlocked if you have the Brothers or Team style equipped. To get this style, just go to AC/DC area with Navi chips that hit multiple enemies like Plant, Flash, or Gutsman, and use only those Navi chips. Lastly, the final boss of Battle Network 3 Alpha is a really tough fight. You can try to cheese it with any wood style and the grass stage chips, along with the undershirt program in your Navi Customizer. It will let you live a fatal hit at 1 HP and heal again, but it's not a guaranteed win. I really hope you enjoy Battle Network 3. Battle Network 4, the black sheep of the Battle Network series, but it holds a special place in my heart as the first Battle Network game I owned. This game marks big changes to the Battle Network series, as the artwork of the games has been altered and the style system of Battle Network 2 and 3 has been replaced with the aforementioned Double Soul system. This allows Mega Man to copy the appearance and abilities of Navis in the game, kind of like classic Mega Man I guess. Unlike style changes, Double Souls aren't permanent, requiring you to sacrifice a chip of a specific type to activate and only lasting for 3 turns in a battle. The Double Souls you get depend on the version of the game you're playing. I won't go into too much details about each soul here, but I do plan on doing videos about them in the future. Battle Network 4 also introduces dark chips to the games. These chips are more powerful than their regular counterparts, but come with a steep cost. If you use a dark chip, your max HP is permanently reduced by 1, but in exchange, you can use powerful DS and evil chips. The decreased HP is even an actual strategy in the game, as having 999 max HP gives the Number Ball secret chip the ability to do 99 damage per hit for 5 hits, doing a total of 495 damage with 1 chip. Not bad, Number Man. Lastly, you're going to need a lot of patience to play this game. The post-game is locked behind having all 6 Double Souls, which unfortunately requires you to complete the story of the game 3 times. Yeah, this is why Battle Network 4 is the black sheep. The post-game is also really short, amounting to obtaining 5 evil chips and 6 fights against DS version Navis in the post-game. Not that exciting, but still a fun game to play. Though that could just be my nostalgia talking. Battle Network 5, the black sheep. Wait, I already said that. Battle Network 5 is more beloved than 4 is, but the new addition to the game divides the community. Battle Network 5 introduces liberation missions, in which you control a team of Navis to liberate areas of the net from the game's evil Navis. Liberation missions are a massive part of this game, as each chapter of the story ends with one of these missions. They're basically turn-based RPGs in which you fight your way to the boss Navi using your team. Having good folders is especially important in liberation missions, since some of the teammates are kinda bad. Looking at you, Medi. These missions can get really tough, especially in the post-game, but you can always spam the Buster Max mode for the liberations. This should make them much easier and way less stressful. The main thing to know about liberation missions is that each Navi you control has a specific ability to help you take control of dark panels. These abilities use up order points, so you have to manage your points well. The other thing to keep in mind is that the way to advance through the area is to fight viruses, with a time limit. A panel liberation in these missions is limited to 3 turns, and your custom window will open automatically at the end of a turn. This means that you need to bust viruses as fast as possible, even getting rewarded to winning in 1 turn. Sword chips are also frowned upon in these missions, as you can start fights with less area than usual or end up against viruses that sword chips won't reach. Keep this in mind when building your Battle Network 5 folders. If you want to have an easier time in liberations, then you should play Team Colonel first, although I personally think that Team Protoman has the better Double Souls. That's right, Double Souls are back in Battle Network 5, with most of them being new ones, although 3 make a repeat appearance. My best advice for Battle Networks 4 and 5 both is to get used to using these Double Souls. The nice thing about 5 is that you can also use Dark Chips to activate a Double Soul, allowing Megaman to use that Dark Chip as his charge attack. Just be careful. Last but not least, we have a huge leap in popularity with Battle Network 6. This game is personally my second favorite after Battle Network 3, and it's also considered the most balanced game for PvP. Battle Network 6 replaces the Double Soul system with a spiritual successor and a cross system. Crosses are very similar to Double Souls, with 2 exceptions. The 3-turn limit is now gone, as is the chip sacrifice requirement. You can activate any cross you want by pressing up in a custom screen. Despite having no time limit, crosses are still balanced by the updated element weakness system. Each cross is weak to a specific type, but a secondary type matchup is introduced in this game: Wind, Cursor, Breaker, and Sword. Whenever a cross is hit by its weakness, the cross gets cancelled, meaning you won't have access to it for the rest of the battle. This makes both PvP and the storyline a game of managing your crosses well, so I recommend learning their abilities and their weaknesses. In addition to crosses is the Beast Out system, which transforms Megaman into a powerful cyber beast that gives him the ability to lock on to enemies. This lock-on allows Megaman to instantly warp to enemies when using battle chips. Megaman can also charge non-element chips to unleash powerful slashing attacks. Beast Out is limited to 3 turns, after which Megaman will lose both his Beast Out and any crosses he fuses with it. However, after this, he has access to Beast Over, which is basically Megaman going berserk for a turn. The downside here is that Megaman will drain HP quickly after the Beast Over expires. Battle Network 6 requires you to master both your Beast Out and your crosses, but doing so will make this game rewarding to play. As mentioned, this game is also the most balanced for PvP, so you should consider starting here if you intend on playing PvP games. There's a variety of strong chip combos to pull off as well, making Battle Network 6 one of the most fun games in the series. My biggest recommendation for 6 is to make sure you go looking for the side quests that give you your crosses. Unlike the Double Souls in 4 and 5, the crosses aren't part of the story and aren't all required to be obtained. Keep an eye out for emails telling you about your chance to unlock more crosses. That's all for my beginner tips into the Battle Network series. I truly hope that these tips will help newcomers to the series improve and enjoy everything that these games have to offer. The Battle Network Legacy Collection drops on April 14th, and I'll be playing it on my stream starting on Sunday, April 16th. I'll be playing through every game in the series, including the post-games of every game after Battle Network 1. Follow me on my Twitch, my link will be down in the description. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and share it with any newcomers to the series who want to nudge in the right direction. Lastly, be sure to share additional tips for any of the games in the comments below. Comments help the YouTube algorithm, and who knows, you may just end up helping someone who needs the support. Thanks for watching, and remember, no matter what, we're always connected.